We were an underperforming university. I think everybody would admit that. A little over 10 years ago, our overall graduation rates were around 30%.
Math gave me a hard time, but I tried to work through it.
We've been doing the same thing basically till IPASS came for almost 27 years. Paper and pencil. Everything was done that way. So we needed to transition and keep up with technology.
We're the land-grant institution in Colorado. We need to reach out to all corners of the state. We're trying to serve a population that needs a little more support. That's part of our mission, and we want to do that well.
We knew that we had a problem with advising students.
I already took the test.
We didn't provide our advisors with the type of information necessary to have a good conversation with students about what their plans were, what their objectives are.
We looked at that equivalency, and that's going to count just fine.
By 2025, the governor has an ambitious goal to have 55% of the population with some post-secondary education. But obviously, being a large, comprehensive university, MTSU has a significant role.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is focused on increasing college completion rates for low-income and first-generation students. We see college as a pathway for social mobility and for economic development for the nation at large. Our focus is really on increasing the efficiency and productivity of higher education institutions.
Is that all I would have to make up for freshman year?
And so we landed at student advising as an important aspect of that work.
There's tremendous research on the importance of advising, good mentoring, both in and outside of the classroom, and the connection towards persistence and graduation.
It's irresponsible to bring low-income, first-generation students into a university and expect them to navigate this incredibly complicated, edifice we've created. That's just not responsible, not right, and when they fail, it's really our failing, not theirs.
So advising came up on the radar very early, and what we decided to do was take on advising in a very big way, which is literally to restructure how we do advising.
The advising staff realized that we had a model and that there were many other models out there. And it was really necessary for us to begin to explore what those other models were.
So you want to do that in the fall or summer?
Summer.
Okay.
The genesis for moving forward with IPASS was infusing technology into the solution of helping students become successful.
Looking back at your history, we had a few hiccups, but then we picked back up. But everything else, you're doing great.
The grant to APLU is really a partnership where we're hoping they can help us educate presidents and provosts around the use of IPASS technology tools and the approaches to improve student advising that can lead to better outcomes for students as well as for the institutions themselves.
We've got a real opportunity to perform at a very high level and do something that not only changes the lives of our students here, but hopefully is something that can demonstrate a path forward that's scalable and can be picked up in other places as well.
You basically need to go university-wide, so whatever you're going to do, it has to scale. The economics are going to work that way, and you're going to get the greatest impact that way. And the only way to work at scale is actually to look at the data. So you got to have a robust data infrastructure, use the data to help guide you to where you're going, but where you're going has to be done big. Got to go big.
The most important lesson that comes from Georgia State is student success programs done well are not only the right thing to do, but they pay for themselves.
Can I see an advisor today?
We've been making these changes and these investments at a time when the state has been slashing our state appropriations. It's gotten us through some of the really fiscally challenging years that have hit higher education. Every 1% we increase the progression rate at our Atlanta campus, that's over $3 million of additional revenues to the university that otherwise would have been lost.
For every $1 that a college graduate has invested in them, it returns at least $6 to the state in terms of their increased productivity, extra wages, extra taxes, services that they provide.
So one of the biggest concerns the foundation has is that higher ed institutions will view the solution as the technology itself. They'll turn on the computer, plug it in, they're ready to go. And really, it has to be much more deeply embedded in the organization and in the organization's culture.
And that was the greatest thing about what happened at the college with IPASS. It has really changed, in essence, the culture of the organization. That was never meant as a primary goal. That was just a great product of having an innovation where everyone had to be a part of to make it successful.
It means that you have advisors who are really engaged in their work. They're outreaching to students. They know who they're serving. They understand what their success rates are. You have centers who are accountable so that colleges know what their student success rates are.
It was really important that the President's cabinet, the Board of Governors all endorsed the plan. There really was broad campus buy-in, and institutional leadership was very much a part of that.
We absolutely need leadership from presidents and provosts to really drive this change at their institution. But we also need leadership at the front lines, at the project management level and at the frontline advising level. And what we found is that the alignment of the leadership is the most critical factor to the success of the overall project. And that when leaders were aligned, they had better deployment of the tools, better uptake of the tools, and use of them in the regular advising activity.
When you have student affairs who is right there with you, IT, when you have student records, the registrar's office, athletics, when you look and you say everybody's lined up, that's where the difference occurs.
So this list shows everything that you have left for your degree plan.
Okay.
This is work we must do. We must do it for our students, but we also need to do it for our country. We need this educator workforce. We really have an obligation to graduate the students we admit and give them the opportunity to make their mark on this world.
And I think once we have that expectation, then we can look our ultimate constituents, the public, in the eye and say, yes, we get it. We understand some of the concerns you have. We are working hard on improving those. We're committed to improving them, and look, we are.